We're sailing away from Isla Mujeres to go to our job. Departing from the northern side of the island requires flying over a beautiful reef. Our relatively shallow draft of 5 feet allows us to pass over the crystal clear waters without a worry, to take in the sights of Mexico's natural aquarium as we peek momentarily into the lives of a couple of sea creatures living there. Out in slightly deeper water, we could still see the bottom as I tried not to become mesmerized. We have to keep steering the boat in the right direction. There was a ton of broken sargasso weed floating around on this calm day, but Robbie was still fishing. Although that means that he had to clean the end of his fishing line about every 30 seconds. The vigilance of keeping the line clean of seaweed finally paid off.
No, it's a monster kingfish. It's a fucking monster kingfish, this thing. Absolute monster kingfish. Okay, how are we gonna get this inside? Lower the speed of the boat a little bit more. Keep us straight. I'm gonna have you reel in the last bit.
Okay.
Stand here with your feet here like this.
I don't like fishing rods so much. I'm a hand line type of person. The fishing rod is more complicated, as I was doing my best not to break anything.
Reel, 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 reel. Reel, 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 reel. Reel, reel, reel. Keep tension. Reel, 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 reel. Reel, 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 reel. Reel, reel. Reel, reel. Fuck.
How can
I got it. Okay.
Oh, Robbie. This is a giant fish.
Watch your feet, huh?
He got out his knife to disconnect the spinal cord as quickly as possible because we don't want this fish to suffer. It didn't seem very, flippy floppy. It didn't have that much energy. What's with that?
It fought. Made a huge run.
We filled the cooler with as much ice as we could before leaving, but I have to say much of this fish we ended up drying out with salt because it represented much more than we could eat during this one trip. I ate this dried fish over the span of about a month. Our weather forecast was just about perfect for heading north up around the top of the Yucatan Peninsula. I enjoy sailing this way, however, we're always thinking ahead about how difficult it can be to come back this way as well. As the day came to an end, we could see in real life and also on the weather radar a large lightning storm forming right over our heads. It's easy to travel along the contour of the shoreline here in about 8 meters of water without a care in the world. There's hardly any traffic, there's not many obstacles other than some small fishing pangas here and there. But we have to keep a close eye on our ancient diesel engine as it chugs along until we find some wind. We started to feel the puff of some wind coming at our back. It was time to dig out the spinnaker sail. Robbie pulled up the sock, revealing the colors of either Italy or Mexico, whichever. The wind didn't last for very long. We were on the lookout for more, though, and when it did come back, it came back from the ocean side, so Robbie had to switch the side of the spinnaker pole. The way that this usually works with the spinnaker is that we start out going real slow, then we go faster, and faster, and faster, until we have to let out the sheets and bring her down before we potentially bust her up or bring the mast down. We're getting a good breeze from behind. We have the spinnaker up. It's a little sketchy and kind of forced to go in towards shore, so maybe we'll stop at Rio Lagartos, but also it's low tide when we'll probably arrive there, and we can't get in, or we don't want to try getting in at low tide again, because that was also sketchy last time we did that. We had a little bit of a rolling night last night, but the coastline is pretty much calm unless the wind is blowing right from the north, and so we might be able to just anchor outside the entrance. With this kind of wind, we can also just have our Genoa and the main. The rain clouds caught up with us as we went in towards land, and to anchor out in front of the river entrance called Rio Lagartos. There was only about 1.5 meters of depth here out in front of the small town located up inside the channel. We didn't dare to pass over the very shallow bar at low tide, so we anchored in about that 1.5 meters of water. Morning on the open roadstead northern coastline of the Yucatan Peninsula. It was calm and flat and perfect for sailing, as the wind blew gently from the land. We didn't want to start up the engine, so we simply sailed off the anchor. The wind was more consistent that day, so we hooked up the wind vane to our tiller. So because we have this, we get to have some of this. Choco, you're right in my way. That's not a spot. That's not a sitting spot. Every afternoon there was the same kind of cloud formation over the landmast right next to us. Want to reduce sail?
Yes, we can try. Just the gust.
We reduced the sail to about half. But we were getting hit with such strong gusts that Robbie had to let the jib out completely. Which caused a lot of fuss and turbulence. So he called me over to go release the halyard and let the jib down completely. Yes! We were sailing with a thong-sized amount of sail now. And we're still moving 3 knots with this.
Yeah.
We brought in some sail. And there's nothing like some yummy fried fish after a huge squall. Dr. Zoidberg steered us along our way. Yeah, we're surrounded by dark clouds all around us except for straight ahead of us, so that's where we're heading. Trying to chase the sun before nightfall. The sea had become a little lumpy after the storm, but that obviously did not bother the boys one bit. Robbie installed some new tassels so that we can kind of get an idea of what the actual wind direction is, and we sailed into the night. It was still dark when we arrived at the port, where our goal was always to cross the channel as quickly as possible because we have met some reckless drivers out here. I'm not in the way of your red visibility.
Right there.
The blinking lights of the channel looked like a runway.
Ooh, there's lots of fish in the channel. Yep, and we've
And then we entered into the inner harbor. Last time we entered into here, we had to sail in without the use of our engine because we had to do work on it in the boatyard. It looks as though they were building some new electrical lines, but for now the power lines remain visibly too close for comfort.
Just fucking remove them, Jesus.
Some of the sights of the boatyard remain the same. Noah's Ark. And even though we have an engine this time, it still remained a challenge to enter into a small boat slip. But as old sailing wisdom instructs, slow and steady is the best. We have basically no reverse gear and a very sketchy neutral, and we glided as best as we could into the slip.
The concrete wall, and I'm gonna try and grab this.
Now the boat projects would begin. We had been hired to bring several boat masts up and down here at the marina, which I'll show in upcoming videos.